What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and thanks to Matthew Knowles, everybody's turning to me to set the record straight. Hey, like, man, you got to set the record straight, man. You got to tell us what's going on, and we got to know. Now, when all of these things was transpiring, it was told to us that the culprits was New Edition, because at the time I think Jagged Edge had Jagged Edge Heartbeat. I mean, Heartbreak, like the New Edition. It was JE, and they were trying to be the New Edition. So I think that's where it got confused in the information when people said that they were dating and messing around with New Edition. It wasn't them. It was Jagged Edge, JE, not any. So the confusion came in there. So when the information was flying around, it was a lot of the like saying it was New Edition, and that's what I remember hearing over the years. That, man, it was New Edition that they was messing around with, because we didn't really care about that. It was no social media at the time. So during that stage, you had, I think MySpace was just coming into its own thing, or AOL Messenger. So anyhow, this is the truth behind the Jagged Edge Destiny Child whole thing that you've been hearing for the past couple of days. And shouts out to DJ Vlad. Vlad, I swear, his pull is amazing. I mean, y'all don't get that man his credit, and y'all hate on him 24/7. But without that man doing these interviews, you guys would have nothing to say. Give people their flowers and their credit where they can still smell them. But it's funny that the people that hate on that man is some of the people that's out here trying to emulate this man. It's crazy. I'm like, well, I'm trying to find out what he did wrong. So, hey, it is what it is. Keep doing your thing. Now, I say that, and I say this. Matthew Knowles went on DJ Vlad, and when they asked about the Destiny Child situation, he insinuated that in his book, he goes into further detail as to what happened. But he would say that he got a phone call from Beyonce and Kelly saying that they were being harassed by members of Jagged Edge, and that's why he had to kick them off the bus. And they had to be excluded off of the tour bus. Now, John B., Jagged Edge, and Destiny's Child were all on this bus. Now it's being called the Love Bus. And they were on a tour. This is big money tour. Everything's going fine. Yada, yada, yada. Now, when they started Destiny's Child, which is really Beyonce's group, Beyonce, Kelly, and they had other girls, when they settled on Latoya and Latavia being in the group, I was like, okay, this is Destiny's Child. They had their songs. It was like cute songs for the kids and, this and that, but it is what it is. It was cute music. Now, you flash back to those days and times. Latoya and Latavia was probably, I want to say they were 18 at the time. I would say, okay, they were probably 18, and I would say about 18. They're about that time, 17, 18. Um, all of them were about the same age. Beyonce, Kelly, Roland, all of them. So when all of this was going on, they were about 17, 18 years of age. Now, he claims that it's his duty to look after them because they're minors. Now, here's the thing. They have representation on the people who's on the bus that's monitoring them, and they basically are going from town to town on this tour, and Matthew is not there. He's handling business. So they have somebody who's there with them to make sure that the girls are safe. The girls are not unaccompanied by anybody, and no one could hurt them. So for Matthew to say something like that, when Jagged Edge is not these kind of guys that he was painting them out to be. And when he did that interview, he made it sound like they were a bunch of some members. He didn't name them, which made it even worse. He singled them out to be like a bunch of thugs who was just preying on these young girls, and making it something that it really wasn't. And that was very unfortunate, I thought, because now you blaming Jagged Edge for a lot of the situations that happened that had nothing really to do with them. You were just mad that they interfered in something that you didn't like, that you felt wasn't their business, and told Jermaine Dupri as such. But we'll get back to that. Now, all of them are approximately 17, 18 years of age, okay? So, what Matthew was talking about them being 16 years of age, that to me is a flat out fluky, looky, liar, pants on fire. They were about 17 to 18 max. This is about 20 years ago, to be exact. So, knowing this, and knowing this about 20 years ago from the date that we're talking now, we're looking at a time frame in which this just doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. Jagged Edge, who have two twin brothers in there, Brian and Brandon, both of them were in conversations and chatting with Latoya and Latavia. They were both cool with them. They was like friendly. They fraternized, and there was problems in Destiny's Child before just Jagged Edge even met him on the bus. They already knew of each other. They decided that they should all be on one bus instead of spending money to put them on separate buses for this tour. Now, what's the name was on the bus, and they didn't want her on the bus, and Beyonce's family didn't want, and they tried to say Beyonce had a problem with Miss Pam, who is actually Latoya's mom. Here's the problem that goes along with that story. Miss Pam was nobody's fool. See, Destiny's Child had a record contract offered to them and had no signed agreement with Matthew Knowles. When they were signed with Elektra and all these things and got dropped and all this, Matthew Knowles was not the manager of them. They had to sign, in order to sign that contract with the record company, they were going to have to sign a managerial deal with Matthew Knowles. Miss Pam, who's the mom, decided, hey, wait a minute. We gotta hire a lawyer and have him look over these contracts before you sign them. Matthew Knowles didn't like that notion of having a lawyer look over the contracts. Now, these are girls who were minors, like he keep talking about. They're minors. Now, you want a minor to sign a contract managerial with you and not have her have the attorney look at what you're writing down on that piece of paper to have them sign. This is Matthew Knowles, ladies and gentlemen. So, Matthew Knowles resented the fact that Miss Pam wanted to have his contracts looked at, and that she was interested in her daughter's career and was interested in her daughter not being screwed over in the group. And these problems consistently went on, so he's not a fan of Miss Pam. So when Miss Pam was going to be on the bus, he wanted Miss Pam off the bus and said, well, you guys will be kicked off, you guys will be fired and kicked off the bus if she stays on the bus. So Jagged Edge stood up and said, hey, that's not right. You can't kick her off the bus. You know, that's not even fair. Why would you kick somebody's mother off of the bus? That's just not right. So that them being just decent human beings, you know, Cal and Wingo, you know, they all was in agreement to that. Jagged Edge, one thing about them is that they are all mostly in agreement when they see something wrong. They all have what they call morals, something that Matthew Knowles lacks. He's about business all the time, and whatever aligns with business, that's what works with him. The moral standpoint, he will throw it out of the window because he don't understand it. All he understands is one thing: business. And let's do the numbers, and this is the way it should go. Moral compass off. Throwing a black woman off the bus, the mother, when her daughter is on that bus, and you don't want her to be on the bus, and she's not causing a disruption, and then trying to use it as if, oh, well, Beyonce and the mom had a problem, and Beyonce didn't want the mom on there. You just ruined that group. He torpedoed it. Because the problems were already existing before this happened. See, Matthew is trying to push a book. And he's giving you the bits and pieces because he wants you to buy the book. He wants you to explore the book. He wants you to go all the way through the book and say, hey, this is what you need to look at. This is what you need to look at. This is what you need to see. My story. And once again, he's talking about Kelly and Beyonce getting a bad name and a bad rep for breaking up the group and all of these things. But, you know, this is what happened. And their problem was with me, and they got a bad rep. They got a bad rep because you wanted it to be like that. You didn't want it on you. You kept it on them. You could have easily come out and says, no, the problem was with me and this and that, and took the weight off of Beyonce and Kelly. It was always you. But you didn't. You let all them write about it was Beyonce and Kelly's fault. You let all that stuff go down. So when the general public who didn't know too much was saying about these things, and you got groups, and at that time in Atlanta, and that's why JD was so confused at the time, because he's like, what the heck? Like, man, like, it didn't even make sense. And then they trying to make, oh, well, these dudes are too old to be around these girls. They're like, what the hell is this dude talking about? Like they 21 and these people are 8, 7, 18. They 21, 18. Most of them people 21 and 18, they hung out around each other. They were just on a tour bus with each other. And they was interested in hanging out with Jagged Edge. If they wanted to have a relationship with them, their mom was there, she was cool with it. It was no problem. That's not the reason. Jagged Edge did not split up the group. They already had problems, and they brought it to some of the members of Jagged Edge, and they actually said, they was like, man, they was talking about firing him, and that was the final straw. And he was like, oh, that's what started the problem. No, it wasn't. They had problems before they even got on that bus. They were being ostracized out of the group, and the two people that were being highlighted out of the group was Kelly and Beyonce. And now people were starting to pay some attention. The other people in the industry were paying attention more to Latoya and Latavia. They were more outgoing, where Matthew wanted total control and wanted everybody to stay away from talking to everybody, and Beyonce and Kelly followed suit. But Latavia and them like, look, we got to be out here. We need to be, because this thing, groups break up, and I don't want to be somewhere stuck in a group and then it don't work out. And he never really fully used them for their potential. They were just there for Beyonce. And look, Beyonce is bad. Like she stood out. Her voice was unique. She had it. And I saw her sing live and I just heard her voice singing live. And I turned to the screen and I said, oh, she the one. Now that girl can sing. I'm like, that girl with them thick legs, yeah, she can sing. So I already knew she had the goods. And I was like, she's golden. So it ain't like they made Beyonce's career and everything. They just underutilized Latoya. Latavia was always a background singer. So she was always gonna be that. She can't hold a whole song, an album, or Latavia. That's not gonna fly. But her being a background singer or doing some assisting vocals, yeah. But Latoya could be a solo artist. She was a better singer than Kelly because she had different pitches that Kelly can't do. Kelly could sing a little bit, but certain notes and things she can't do. Her vocal range isn't as better as Latoya. Latoya has a very high octave. She can hit certain wavelengths that she can't do, and that's what got her in the group, is because she could hit those octaves that Kelly can't hit. Okay, okay. So that was her role in the group. So you'll hear her, and then she had writing credits that they in the second album. You'll see Latoya got more of the writing credits because she was talented. She's multi-talented. She's the one I thought would have a great career even when this was over with Destiny's Child, but they weren't gonna let that happen. A lot of things took place in that time span that was very unfortunate. But I'm gonna just say some powers that be came in to make sure that that didn't happen. Now, Jagged Edge went through a lot of problems because of that. Destiny Child replaced them with two new members quick, and that didn't work out. So they stuck with Michelle and left the other member out the group, and they just became a trio. And that was it, and Jagged Edge had nothing to do with that situation. Jagged Edge went on to make hit songs and hit records. They made different music than Destiny's Child. But Destiny's Child's success that came with Survivor and everything else, that album became like their biggest thing, but then they weren't gonna last. Beyonce was gonna have to go and do other things. They couldn't, you know, Bootylicious, all those are like little teenager songs. They had to grow up. They were getting too old to make these records. And it was just gonna be a cheesy rendition. And Matthew wanted them to continuously do the trend cheesy, let's keep doing this cheesy stuff. And then she was dealing with Jay, and Jay was like, it's time for you to move up. You know, and that's why Jay was so important in Beyonce's whole career. Like, she would not be the B right now that she is today if Jay didn't come in and help her move along and get Matthew out the way. So I'm 100% can say Matthew Knowles didn't know what he was talking about. He know what he was doing when he did that thing on Vlad, but no, he was very dishonest in the way of handling that interview, and he did it on purpose just to push a book. You know, and that's sad, but it is what it is, man. It's just the business. You know, and I think the people behind him with Columbia, Sony, and a lot of other people had to make sure that other parties weren't successful for a reason, because that would make what they were building obsolete. So, on that note, I'll say don't forget to support your boys page. Click one of the 4 videos you'll see there in the corners. And don't forget to always hit up my Cash App or hit the Streamlab up and hit the donate button. I thank you. My family thank you for all the warm wishes, all the donations you've made. Shy, Mew Shy, and the rest of you guys, man, I really appreciate it. You guys have really helped make this transition, you know, easier. You know, and again, man, I really do appreciate it, because this has been a very hardest 2 weeks of my life. You know, I make it sound easy, but it's not. It is really not easy. There's times I can't even move because it seems just so unreal. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, man. Thank you.